Simple Car Guy here, and today I will show you how to replace a broken bumper on almost any vehicle, just like on this Lexus RX350, without having to paint anything and using basic tools. Assuming that your bumper looks like this, it's definitely not cost effective to repair and then repaint when you can just buy a replacement bumper. So that's what I'm doing in my case. And the first step, of course, is to remove the old one. Usually you have a bunch of screws here at the bottom, so you're gonna have to remove all of those screws that you see underneath. Basically any screw that attaches the bumper to the vehicle, we have to remove. Then we're gonna have a lot of these clips on the sides. So we're gonna have pull that out. Usually you would use like a trim removal tool. In my case, it already popped out. There's also gonna be a few screws here on the side. So you wanna remove those as well if they're holding the bumper cover in place. And then if we open up the trunk, we get to these two top screws, one on each side. And the bumper should then completely come out and we should be able to remove it and replace it with a new one. This is my mom's car, and since she's out of town for a few days, I decided to fix it for her and avoid having to deal with insurance, deductible, and everything else that gets involved. Obviously, I will not be fixing this bumper or painting anything in my garage, but luckily there are now services that allow you to order a bumper cover for basically any vehicle already pre-painted. So I will be removing the old bumper, transferring the accessories to the new bumper, and then installing it on the car. The process should be the same on most regular vehicles, so let's get started. So as mentioned, I'm just gonna jump underneath, and most of them are 10 mil screws or bolts. So I'm just gonna get them all removed. Lots of rusty bolts, but you know, it's a 12-year-old car. All right, so the bumper should come off now. Of course, there's gonna be wires and other things attached to it, so we're gonna have to be careful not to rip anything off. If your clips are fully intact and securely hold the bumper cover in place, you may have to put some tape over, like painter's tape, over the body of the car and then use trim removal tools to pry it off, but shouldn't be too difficult to remove. Okay, I'm gonna put something underneath to hold the bumper in place. And now we can pop off all of the connectors. On this Lexus, there's 3 total. For some other cars, there may be more, some may be less, but usually it's just the indicators. So we can pop off the bulb, leave it in here. I'm gonna be replacing this as well, of course. I'm gonna grab this other one as well. And this connector is gonna be for the reversing sensors. There it is. Now I should be able to just wiggle it off. Oh, I did miss one clip. There it is. And we're off. It's as easy as that to remove a bumper, especially if it's already broken. Of course, we have to remove any accessories that we're going to be transferring over. I will not be transferring this one over as I ordered a new one, but I do want these bolts and anything else that I may need. Here's how the sensors come off. So you want to remove the plug like we did earlier. Then this comes off, the little wiring loom. And then we have 2 connectors. One here you press in, and this one you click in. There it is. Now we got the sensor off. Here I'm gonna just click in and push it through. A little bit fiddly, but it should be okay. And now we have fully removed it. Yes, this one's a little bit broken, and unfortunately I don't have replacement ones, so I'll have to reinstall it and hopefully in the future replace them and fix them up a little bit. And there you have it. I have removed everything from the old bumper. We have the wiring loom, we have all of the reflectors, lights, whatever it may be. So you'd want to do the same. Here are all of my sensors. I'm going to clean them up a little bit, and we're going to reinstall it on the new bumper. Obviously, one of the reflectors slash lamps has been broken. This one seems fine, but I think I'm going to replace both at the same time so they look the same. These are very cheap on eBay. I think I paid like $15 each or something, so definitely worth replacing. In some cases, you will have to replace this cover on the bumper. I did not buy a new one, so I'm going to try to rip this one out and put it on the new bumper, but I will do that at the very end as that's not as important. And if it doesn't come out here easily, I will then order a new one and just, I think it glues in place, so shouldn't be a problem to install it after. Yeah, there's no bolts or anything, so it looks like it just kind of glues on. Now, this is the part where you get to decide how much money you actually want to spend on this project. You can go as cheap as $250, $300 to get a painted bumper cover for your vehicle. In my case, I decided to spend just a little bit more since that is a Lexus, even though an older one. So we got one that got painted but not folded, so it's a fully unfolded delivery. Now if you do go for the cheaper version with the folded bumper, you may see a crease or some kind of imperfection in that area where it gets folded, but it should still be decent enough. So once again, depends on your car. But for $460, let's see what kind of quality we get. Of course, you can spend much more as well. You can go for OEM type of bumper. This is not OEM bumper. And you can spend $800, $900, $1,000, or even more. But do remember that even if you go through insurance, most of the time insurance will not pay for a brand new OEM bumper. So in most cases, you will still get either a used bumper that's been repainted, or you'll get an aftermarket bumper just like this one. Of course, you can get these bumpers on many different websites or even on eBay or Amazon. I will put a few links in the description, but just know that I'm not affiliated with any of these companies. I may have an affiliated link to Amazon or eBay, but I have nothing to do with these companies. Just trying to help you guys find this stuff easier. Well, I was hoping to do a big reveal, but it looks like it's covered in powder. I assume this powder is here so it doesn't get scratched. Very, very fine powder. So I'm gonna keep that on until we are done, and then I'll wash it off. All right, looks good. Let's reinstall all of the parts. All right, and now it's time to reinstall it. Of course, we're just gonna do the reverse of removing it, but a lot more carefully. So I'm just gonna get it more or less in position. So for example, right here, I'm just gonna bring it in just a bit closer. Now I can go ahead and plug in all the wires. Here's our connector for the sensors. Easy. And then we're gonna do the bulb in there as well. Probably go from the bottom. Let's see. Oh yeah, no problem at all here. And now it's mostly a game of getting it in the right places without messing the other parts that are already clipped in. And once again, it's going to be different on different vehicles, but the idea is basically exactly the same, because I've done this on my BMW X7. That's very much a different car, but it was mostly the same. There was a few extra wires and a few extra clips, but that's basically it. Takes a little bit of finessing, but it goes in. I'm just gonna put this top screw in so it holds the bumper in for me, because I'm gonna be moving stuff around at the bottom, and in case I push it too hard or something, I don't want it to clip out, because right now it's pretty good. And finally, we can put all the screws back in from the bottom here, fixing all of this fascia. And the nice thing about an SUV, if you're working in an SUV, is that you don't really have to jack up the car or anything. So I'm gonna work it in under the bumper. There it is. I'm gonna order a set of new screws and replace them, but for now, it shouldn't make a difference. It just doesn't look as nice. And with that, we are finally done. Yes, it took me almost 2 hours to get this done, but that was including filming. I imagine if I only had to change the bumper and not do anything else, I could have probably done it in an hour to hour and a half. If this is your first time doing something like this, tackling a DIY project of this magnitude, right? It's not that hard. It just takes a lot of steps and having to kind of pay attention to what you're doing. I would imagine it'll probably take you about 2, maybe 2.5 hours for the first time. If you have somebody to help you, it'll be even easier because they can hold the bumper while you're taking the screws out. They can be working on this side while you're working on the other side, and then together pull the bumper in or out. And if any of you are wondering how is color matching on a bumper that I ordered on the internet, well, it's pretty damn good if you ask me. Yes, it's not 100% perfect, but for a car being over 10 years old, that's a pretty close match right there. So you can see it straight in the sun. I'll walk further back a little bit. Here's more of a shadow area. There's definitely a couple of imperfections, like right there. There's a tiny bit of like orange peel, but it's literally just this section right here and the entire bumper. I don't see any other issues. Otherwise, pretty good color match, especially for not seeing the car in person and just going off the VIN number. So what do you think? Is this a valid DIY for those that want to save some money? I think we were quoted about $1,800 to replace the bumper at a shop. So that's a $1,500 saving by just installing the bumper yourself and getting it shipped to your house. Is this something you're going to attempt at home? If you are, let me know down below in the comments. If not, what are your concerns? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.